Morning, Chairperson. Good morning, members. So I'll check.
Good morning, Director. Good morning.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah, we can.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Just waiting for members to log in.
All right. No, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Good morning, honorable members on the platform. Good morning, colleagues, Team PBO, STP, and our team from Parliament, the support staff of the committee. A very good morning to you, colleagues. We are left with 6 minutes. We are starting at 8 sharp. Hopefully by then, most of the members will be in. Cindy, am I audible? I don't get a response. I'm testing if.
We are loud
Good
and
morning,
clear,
Chair.
Chair.
You are.
Okay,
Loud
thank you.
and clear, Molo.
Molo. Yeah, we'll be starting at 8 o'clock sharp.
Morning, Mama Sanggo.
Can you mute your mic?
Thank you. Where is it?
I know.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to honorable members.
Good morning, Stippy, and how are you?
I'm always good, Chairperson, and how are you?
I'm good, but not always as you. I'm working towards that. Chairperson, I hope you're getting well. You're welcome. Cindy, can we start? And before we do that, maybe we need to confirm if everybody who's supposed to participate is here. More especially on the executive and the co-chairpersons.
Good morning, Chairperson and members and guests. We have not, the Speaker, the Executive Authority have not yet joined, neither have the co-chairpersons of the advisory panel. Yes, I'm not sure, they may be busy with the preparing for the plenaries that will take place, but we've not heard from them.
Okay. And let me take this opportunity, honorable members, Team PBO, the support staff, and STP. Let me take this opportunity to welcome you this morning. We are going to deal the core of the business today. For the first time as a committee, we're engaging as a committee with the PBO, Parliamentary Budget Office. And you are welcomed. And we all know that it's Friday. We have pressure. We have tried to split the items. Some we entertained them during the week. But we'll do everything possible to make sure that our meeting is successful. Can we start with that and check with the committee secretary, if there are any apologies? Cindy?
Yes, Chairperson, we received 2 apologies from members Lakude and Gwahube. Both are on sick leave.
Okay. I know also the co-chairperson is not well, but she has joined. So don't be surprised if she's not as active as she usually is in the meeting, but she's with us in the meeting. She will interject when it's necessary. And thank you very much for prioritizing this committee, Honorable Mabi, co-chairperson. Can I now get a mover for the adoption of the agenda as presented before us?
Chair, I move
Chair,
for the
Kaiso.
adoption of the agenda.
Honorable Hadebe moving and Kaiso. Honorable Kaiso is seconding.
Yes, yes, Chair.
Okay. I think we are doing that with the flexibility that we might come across, because we are not sure if the people that we have invited, the co-chairpersons and the executive, will be joining as we go on with our meeting. But then if they are not there, we will continue with the meeting. They have not yet joined. Nhlanhla? Nhlanhla, have they not joined yet? The
No,
executive?
not yet. Not yet, Chair.
Okay, we'll skip that one. Co-chairpersons, Honorable Frolic and Honorable Nyambi? Not yet.
Not yet,
They are
Chair.
not on.
Okay. Our apologies on that score, honorable members. We have sent the letter and for invitation and the program last month, and a reminder last week Friday. We just think maybe they're held up because there are many plenaries and other things that they need to deal with. Hoping that they will be joining us. I'll jump straight to Team PBO, which is led by Dr. Janjis, to make their presentation. And my apologies, Dr. Janjis and your team. I know you are very passionate with your work, but we don't have the luxury of time. Please do everything possible. I have indicated to you that we have the pressure of time. People have to travel. Some, as we speak, are at the airport. But let's do the work that is expected of us, honorable members. And Dr. Janjis, over to you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, co-chairpersons. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, STP. Thank you so much for the opportunity for the Parliamentary Office to brief. I also agree with the Executive Authority and the Advisory Board members. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I would like to note, Chair, that definitely we have noted the concerns of time. We did try to shrunk the presentation there and there to try to move with the speed. I'm with the team on the platform. As you may know, Chair and members, that this is an MTPS period, so not all the team is here. We're currently working on the presentation on the division of revenue and appropriations for next week. So please do accept apologies as well in that regard. And even the deputy directors, Dr. Siraj Mohammed, Dr. Neila Olwandi are here. Mr. Manna Khota also, Alfred Manna Khota is here as well. But just want to send our very heartfelt gratitude. Ask that my video not be flagged, my video, because I'm not in an usual spot. I might struggle with the network as well. I'll just continue with the presentation and I'll come back with my video during the engagement with members. Thank you so much. Alfred, we can move to the next slide. So really the presentation was, the invitation was about the annual report that the executive authority have tabled in the houses. But I think, as the chair is right, that since it was the first time we engaged the committee, we would love to also take the committee with other background, some of the issues, some just really broadly. But as we said, we'll make more time for some of the more substantive issues. But I think we'll want to cover some of those variety issues which enable us, the committee, to understand the office, understand the difficult challenges, and also the success and what we are, understanding what we do, and whether also to get guidance from the community on some of the issues that have been coming out over time. Next slide, Albert. So really, that's why it's a bit long presentation, just to cover wide issues, given that it's the first time, and we really appreciate this opportunity. Alfred, are you there? I don't know if Alfred is hearing me. Alfred?
Yes, I can hear you, Sir Jenkins.
All right.
Yes.
Move to. I think make your presentation to be more like a full screen, so you can move here. No, okay, that's fine. I don't know. Okay, all right, that's fine. No, perfect. I think the outline as it were, we're not going to follow it as it is, Chair. I will try to pick up specific themes and we run with that. I think the first slide, Alfred, just go to the first slide. The other one, because I think we'll move quite quickly there. I think what I want to start with, Chair, is really to remind the committees that this office has been established for 10 years now. I think in June, the office was making 10 years, and I hope it doesn't behave like a 10-year-old. 10-year-olds have different behavior. But I think there's a lot that's been done by this office, and I'm very privileged to be part of this journey as well, and the team as well as on the platform who are also really privileged to have been part of this journey. The challenges that we've had when the office was established, to my frustration, disappointment, some of these challenges have not been addressed and are still just put on the side. And they're still persistent. And our hope and wish that as time goes on, some of the obvious challenges that make it difficult for the office support Parliament as in line with the Act will be resolved in this regard. Next slide, Albert. I think this slide, just to give a background in a nutshell, the office established by the Act to provide some support to implementation of the Act, but also really indicate the accountability processes of the office, and also the indication that the office has been given powers to request information and support for oversight. Next slide. And this, this slide just to emphasize that the office gets its mandate from the Act, which is the Act of Parliament, the Money Bills Amendment Procedures Legitimacy Act was amended in 2019, and that's where the office gets mandate and also ensure that it fulfills governance responsibilities. Next slide, Albert. I think this slide is the only slide. What we have done in the presentation, Chair and members and colleagues, we really set out a few slides that set the context, to give you a context how this office was established, what are the issues, but I also give an indication in the fact that Parliament had went through the length of doing benchmarking exercise, looking at the landscape, looking at some of the issues. But I think at the heart of it was really to strengthen the oversight capacity, have this vehicle that can react quickly, effectively in providing this oversight. And two houses had conducted very lengthy benchmark exercise in 2010-11, where they did a report to say this is how South African BBO should be contextualized within this context, but within the Act itself. And that has been also what we've been guided with over time in terms of how the houses, what was the house's presentations about this office and whether this office, it should be providing the support, but also the leadership, the executive authority, which provide guidance, and also within the Parliament administration system ecosystem support, how we collaborate with other sectors within the ecosystem. So I won't go through those context slides because of time, but I just want to give an overview within this regard. Next slide, Alfred. I think next slide, that's where we come to the office itself, where we remind members the Money Bills and Amendment Procedure Related Matters Act was really put into effect in line with Section 77 of the Constitution, which says only the Minister of Finance, sorry, Chair, can I just get water? Which says, yes, only the Minister of Finance can propose money bills, and the Parliament or legislature can only amend that money bills. So the very clear, distinct powers are set out by the executive and the legislature. And then the Constitution further says Parliament has to enact a law that guides it in terms of amending these money bills. And that's when this Act came into being in line with that provision. And that Act, Section 715 of that Act, establishes office specifically for specific role that it has to play within this regard. And even though the Act was put in place in 2009, the office only came into being a few years later. Next slide, Alfred. We also provided some very high-level view of the office, what were some of the issues that we addressed. Certainly, one of the bigger issues, as I said earlier on, we saw in previous slides, there was an initial Act, and the Act was amended later on. But clearly, the amendment of the Act that came into 2019 was as a result of two houses passing resolutions to clarify some of the public participation processes in the Act, but also ensure Parliament has the flexibility when it deals with the Money Bills Act, and also clarify some of the terms and terminology. But I think there was clearly a section in the amendment which focused on budget office itself, clarify some of the governance issues, and also accountability issues, but also provide some of the confirmation of the role of the advisory board, and so many others. So that's what's really thing that terms that clarified within the amendments. I think the biggest challenge for the Parliament, the houses for PBO and every system is that the Act has not really been implemented in its effect. It's not really been implemented. As I said earlier on, it's been 10 years, but the Act has not been given effect at all. It's been very broadly given effect in certain areas. But as a result of not giving the Act into effect, officers have suffered quite a lot of difficulties in this regard, which we'll share with the committees when the time comes in. But of course, this committee might have been aware of some of these issues which came up to the discussion in some of the other platforms. Next slide, Alfred. The Act does indeed provide, as I said earlier on, the Act does indeed provide for clear mandate of the office, what we need to do, what we are required to do in support of House of Parliament in processing money bills, but also as part of indicating that we have not been able to give effect, not all these functions we need to do largely because of capacity. And that's for me, it's a worrying issue because in a way, I feel that the office has not really fully given effect to its mandate. And in my view, that means Parliament has not really gotten full benefit of this office when just established. And it's my wish that this initial engagement of this committee will really open up this opportunity for the office really to be given effect, to be able to implement its role, and also strengthen its oversight within the Act as it's put out in this regard. Next slide, Albert. What we do, next slide. What we do have recognized is really try to map our understanding and how we fit into the oversight ecosystem. And we use this diagram, co-chairs and members and colleagues, that we often really break it down to explain how understand how we fit into the role of oversight in line with the mandate of the office. And this diagram is really, that always guide us and also help us to understand, but also when we speak to other stakeholders to try to break it down in a more simplistic way. So the national level, at the first block, there's national level, which we show how government goes about setting out its own aspirations, economic growth, economic development. And this understanding is brought about from various policy prescripts and constitution, which set out really clear developmental developmental framework of the country and how the budget will be used in terms of really realizing those aspirations. And at the legislative level, that's then we say, once that's set out, we clearly plot the role of Parliament in our side role, ensuring the monitoring and evaluation of the process of realizing the aspirations. And therefore, Parliament uses the Money Bills Act to really assess how the budget has been used to realize and contribute to realize this aspect. Hello? All right.
Hello? Yeah, we can still hear you.
All right, thank you. I saw somebody speaking. Thanks so much. And at the third level, that's how we plot ourselves in terms of how we really support this very macro process. And that's really where we see our role as to provide the insight to House of Parliament in terms of the progress and the use of budget in realizing the set out developmental indicators. And this is how, in this way, members are empowered to decide whether to accept or reject the budget, because we'll provide that insight that shows whether we're making progress or what's likely to be this budget proposal's implications on realizing this development. So this is a graph that we use a lot of times. It's very small, but it's often really captures in a very holistic how we fit into, how the office fit into the oversight ecosystem, and what's role that we see as important that we play and we play over time. Next slide, Alfred. And now, given that graph and also the mandate of the office set out clearly, I see my role as the director of the office as really to ensure the office remains a strong voice within the budget process of oversight. Because now we have a clear mandate set out. Now, in my picking up and pitching up the vision, the way that I see how we see things, and I see it in that way. Our role is to really ensure the office remains. My role is to ensure the office remains a strong voice in the budget process in support oversight, and aiming to achieve these fundamentals in the process, ensure that our work is really accessible to members of Parliament, understanding the context of which we have variety members in this regard. That's very important for me always to team. Let's make sure that members can understand our work. And the second fundamental is really ensure that even if we have a mandate very clearly spelled out, we're able to also balance it out with providing additional analysis that really strengthen this oversight we're talking about. So we have a very good balance between getting this request, this mandate, this request from members, from committee, from offices, from the members, committees, but also are able to follow through to say, look, in addition to that, PBO has done this analysis, which we feel will also strengthen the oversight. And thirdly, we also believe in transparency and a very clear way of workflow process. We say, this is how we do our work. And when you criticize us based on this framework and understand where we come from. That's really important to also have that clearly spell out our methodology in terms of how we do our work. And fourthly, what's important to me as well, again, is in this regard, is to ensure that the office remain very respected and also seen independent as it is. And it's my wish to ensure that that remains intact. Is always the time, particularly if we are going to provide such important advice which is credible to this important house. So those really are how I see the role and how I see it fitting in way driving my vision of this office members and the chair and colleagues in this regard. Next slide, Alfred. The office, what we were really a privilege also as an office that the act, on top of setting out clear mandate, it also set out what committees we support and which committees we do. But I think what has been a very important determination for time is that even if we're very clear indicative, these are the committees that we support, the Act does make provisions that we work with other committees, but also we can work with members as well, individual members as well. But I think even the executive authority has over time expressed itself that the office should really be very useful within the wider ecosystem of our side. We get something where we also have to look at a sector analysis, look at education, health, and all sorts of analysis and support for our side. And that has really enabled us to work with other committees over time. Work with various committees in regard, in addition to these committees that we set out to work with. But also the Act itself does provide that space in regard. But these are our core committees we work with over time. But as I say, our work model, our methodology allows us to also work with other committees in this regard. Next slide, Alfred. So now this diagram, just to share with members some of the goodies of the analysis that we provide over time, and really which enable us to also remember why we're doing this, why we do this analysis and when we do it and so on. And I think just in a very nutshell, we do a pre and post analysis during the budget time, which are very busy time, like September, October, November. Very busy time of the office, January, February, March, very busy time of the office. We often really get caught up with a lot of analysis. We also do some of the policy analysis where we looked at the policy priorities and whether the budget has really been effective, how effective in the budget in realistic objectives. We also provide members with the status of the economy, the development, and also some of the developments in the public finances over time. And what we've done, and we also do some of the ad hoc research, which the committee will say, look, we have the committee, the government has presented fiscal policy, but give us advice on tax policy or give us advice on expenditure or underspending. So we also do make provisions for such analysis as well. What we've been doing over the years since the office was established, we had deliberately decided not to really embark on a very huge modeling exercise where we model our economic growth and like, in comparison with government. What we've done at the beginning of the year, we decided we'd rather audit that, looking at the capacity as well of government and other entities, government entities, Reserve Bank and other entities that were doing the modeling itself. But we had decided we'll actually audit those models, those forecasts, and provide parliamentary advice. So in terms of our auditing of this forecast, how likely are we to realize this growth over time? But over the past few years, 5 years or so, we've received a lot of requests from the committee say, given that now we've not been, as a country, realizing our growth forecast as we set ourselves, people need to start now being more involved in this process of giving advice in terms of how, what kind of thinking, what kind of variables need to take into account in this model exercise. So what we've done in response to that, we started building up our own modeling capability, which we are very proud of. The team has worked so hard to try to get to the stage where now we're hoping that in the next few years, few months, few years, we're able to start saying, actually, this proposals of budget will not get us growth that we want, or they will get us more growth. But again, what will be the impact of these proposals, and what are some of the public finance impact proposals? In this way, we provide Parliament with different kind of opportunity to look at different views, government view, national treasury, but also we provide that view, say, look, in our analysis, this will be where we are. And I would really appreciate Parliament for really supporting us in this process, and we're very confident that in a few years or so we'll provide that very direct forecast in terms of how we can, and also building up in a way, providing different scenario perspectives, say, look, this is what will get us, the proposal will get us to, but now we think if we do this, will get us even more than what we've been proposed in terms of growth, employment, and dealing with socio-economic issues. So we're very hopefully looking forward to sharing this expertise that we currently strengthening with the House of Parliament. So we'll see now our categories will strengthen quite a bit beyond what we have in this regard. Next slide. So I spend more time on that because you're right, Chair. We're very passionate about this work. Next slide, Alfred. So the next slide really we will run through the annual report, but also really taking the committee where we go about starting that, how we see our strategic planning framework informed, and really we've spoken about it, but just to put it in a diagram way to say we see the main overarching developmental policy document for country as a constitution. We set out clearly what kind of society needs to be fair, equitable, equal, and so many other things. So that's really where we often start in looking at setting our strategy, but also and being cognizant of the mandate of office in the Act. And then we set out our business plan, take into account the Parliament's priorities for the term, and we see how those fit into how we do it. And then we set our business plan, we set out clearly how we see our contribution to this oversight process, and later on, in terms of the Act, we implement this strategy and we keep on monitoring, checking ourselves. And over the time, in line with the basic framework, public finance management framework, we do provide updates, quarterly reviews, quarterly reports, monthly reports, and annual reports in terms of how far we've been able to realize our objectives, targets, and also reflect on the risks that are facing us and how those risks differentiate over time. And at the heart of it really is to provide this insight on how the budget is being used to realize South African socio-economic issues. Next slide, Alfred. What also has been helpful, Chair, members of the committee and members of the committee and colleagues, is really the fact that the Act in itself has really set out clear governance and accountability framework for this office, and that's really been an opportunity to in my view, this leg of engagement with this committee, one of the legs was also important, missing the leg, and I'm quite happy that. So these are some of the key, oversight instrument for the office. The director there, you've got the advisory board, but that ultimately executive authority is responsible for guiding and also taking accountability for this office as well. So the next graph, I think, provides more detail. Next graph, Alfred. It provides it captures broad office governance accountability framework, including the interactive models in terms of what is expected with which oversight structure in that regard. It is based on the provision of the Act itself, and also links out while with the Parliament side, where it says the directors, get appointed by houses, and then the director has signed a performance contract signed with the executive authority. Once this is in place, then it set out the clear responsibilities where directors then have provided is going to write to the EA, provide the accounts, provide the strategy, provide this business plan that I spoke about, which set out clearly the strategy, what we need to do over the next 3 years, and what kind of budget requirements is there. And on a regular basis, we provide account on these measures. And on a quarterly basis, this account is provided to the advisory board, and also as a mechanisms that, because the Act has specific requirements on some of the issues that we need to deal with the advisory board. But at the end of it, the executive authority is the one that's oversight, give leadership to this entity. They provide feedback on matters related to the sound management of the PBO and performance director. It's required to provide that, and the tables and the executive authority also required to table the office budget report in these houses, which refers to them. Again, refer to this committee, oversight committee. The director is required to consult advisory report on specific matters and further provides regular reports on quarterly basis, as I said earlier on. And the committee advises on matters related to the structure of specifically structure and conditional employment of the office. The advisory board is to inform the finance and appropriations committees of when somebody has to be nominated to act as director. Once the director is able to work, then the advisory board nominate that person. And in case of director role become vacant, the finance and appropriations committee is required to initiate the process of recruiting in a transparent and open process. And once that is done, they recommend to the houses, and the houses debate and decide who will become the director of the office. Very in a nutshell, and this is very useful governance and oversight framework for the office, which very links up well responsibilities and who does what. I think we can discuss more later when the time comes. Next slide, Alfred. Also, this slide, what we just want to show here is that where is the budget office located in the vote to budget process, which really is in the under program 3, which indicate that budget the officers to be transferred funds to deliver on its mandate, and this happens annually within the context. But there's an area where I said earlier on we have these challenges we have since the beginning of the year where the office is not really gotten a transfer as required by the Act, and we only started really tabling apart the annual budget budget as required by the Act for the past 2 years, and we are hoping that there will be more engagement and also more guidance from this committee in terms of how the process will be fulfilled over time. The next slide, Alfred. I think in this next slide, which I won't spend a lot of time, I just really try to capture the office business model, which again coming back from the which clearly shows the office value propositions are clearly defined groups of support, and also recognizing that the public forms an important part of the customary group within the role that we do. Hence, a lot of times we publish our work, we table it, and we also get to engage with various stakeholders on the work that we do. That's over and above supporting the House of Parliament. So that's really captured, and it really helps to model and think about how where the strengths and weaknesses within this model, which we can discuss later on as well. Next slide, Alfred. I hope I'm not moving too fast. I think in this slide we're just showing the workflow. I said earlier on, we draw a balance between ensuring that we can deliver mandate, but also more importantly, the capacity we have in this office has been so limited that we always have to manage expectations. My wish is that will change soon, but it is very limited. But what we do in managing expectations, we develop this model to say basically at this moment we don't deal directly with members of individually. We work with, because we are only few of us. If we were to work directly with members, it's very difficult to fulfill all 490 members' requests. But now what we have decided to do is to develop this model, which really goes about recognizing the committee's requests specifically, and then the committee's requests sent to the office say, look, DPO, please advise us on whether the Committee on Tourism can reject the budget of the department, and that comes from the office of the chairperson of the committee, and then if we all entertain it, that we write back to the committee, this is what we can do for you, and then this over time, this is how long it will take us, and so on. And this model has been in place since the beginning of the year, the beginning of the office, and as much as it's not very perfect, it's been able to help us to manage expectations, but more importantly, ensure our process is fair and transparent in the that we set out for this office. Next slide. I think from the next slide is really running through the annual report itself. I set out the slide about the previous slide. I set out the slides. We set out the slides which shows give members of the committee and colleagues and other stakeholders a bit of an overview, given that it's the first time we present some of the issues, some of the work that we do. But if we decided not to go through it in detail, but just ask members to just look at that, say this is the work that we do, and please provide advice if there are any further work we think will also enhance connectivity in that regard, in line with the Act's mandate, of course. But just really wanted to provide sense to some of the specific smaller projects we did and some of the feedback we got as well. But we skip that. We just run through to the actual numbers there. The next slide, Alfred. I think also importantly, the office has a broader pool of stakeholders to keep abreast with the social issues, social community issues, economic issues, skill issues, over time developments, strengthen the office technical capabilities. So we compare ourselves with various stakeholders, but also we have this regular engagement with various stakeholders. It's important for us to really clearly define these stakeholders, and that's been very important. But during the current year, we have few engagements with some of them where we compare notes, but also where we share our perspectives in these issues, and that's been a very good way of really measuring the work we do, but also ensuring that the Parliament benefits from some of these global engagements of these measures. The office form part of the African PBOs that established the network of this budget office network, and South African was elected as a chair in the current year to chair that network for the next 3 years or so. And also we work a lot with the OECD similar platform at the OECD level, where they take South Africa as a very important stakeholder, and they regularly invite us to share perspectives on these key important issues affecting our global economy, and they often really get proud when we attend these meetings how much South Africa is respected, but also the South African people also how much is respected in this regard. We also have regular engagements with our local stakeholders where we share notes, we see how we collaborate and in strengthening oversight in this regard. Next slide. So these are some what happened during the year, basically. I'm trying to balance, giving a broad picture, but also focus on the current year. Some of the developments that took place during the year related to governance and so many other things. The Act came into effect in 2019, the amended Act, and really the study alone was really to clarify, confirm some of the challenges that the office had related to governance, related to management, but also related to responsibilities and what the director can and do, and what's required to do in line with the responsibility of the accounting officer. And in consultation with the Executive Authority and advisory report, we've been able to really, when I took the role, started the role 2020, I'm not sure, I need to remember, 2021, that's when, sorry, I need to remember when I started, but I know that I've been doing this for at least 3 years now. I need to remember, so I apologize for that. But when I started the role, consulted the Executive Authority and advisory report to say there are clear responsibilities set out in the Act, clear requirements in terms of what office needs to do, and how it really reach its optimal as set out in the Act. But I think what I had to realize there quickly was to understand that the office was in what I call it transitional state, but now in a way we could not almost immediately give effect to the entire Act as it were then. And what happened then, we went into a discussion with Speakers to Parliament then to say, how we ensure, because I understand the Executive Authority had instructed the Director of Budget Office then and the Secretary to ensure that the office is given effect to and can implement its mandate as it were. But as I came in late into this picture, I was to say, look, let us allow this transition to take effect. But in the meantime, for the office to function, to continue, can we have some mechanism of allowing the office to function within specific corporate functions within the Parliament, administration services, in a way, in the meantime, enabling
Mr. Dr. Janchis, we
Yes,
are on slide 47, and the agenda here, what we expect from you is to give us a report on the annual report.
Yes.
So far you haven't.
Yes.
Uh,
So
Can you focus on the annual report? I think so far we have captured what you are all about.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for the guidance, Chairperson. These issues are in the annual report as well that I'm discussing. I've moved away from the context. I'm really now on the annual report. But I think some of the slides have moved off. We've cut off. Definitely, these are specifically in the report as well. Move to the next slide, Alfred. The next slide specifically talks about performance information. Performance information here, the next diagram, we have two programs in the business plan set out. The one is administrative function, the other one talks about performance. The office performance outputs indicate based on the categories I've mentioned earlier on, different categories. One that focuses on budget and MTH analysis. The other one focuses on just standing of outputs. The other one focuses on the briefs that we quarterly briefs, and the other one focuses on ad hoc research and the modeling one, and the one that talks about really international stakeholder engagement there, and what we get out of this stakeholder engagement. And there is a target set out for every category, from 2.3 to 2.5, but the output of category 2.3 to 2.5 often difficult to measure or to actually determine exactly how much they'll be, given that they're largely dependent on the engagement or the response you get from the committee specific requests there. We are able to achieve quantitative targets set out of the plan itself, yet we could not fully give our planned outputs. For example, we had planned to really start on with this economic modeling exercise reports earlier on in the year, but due to some of the delays we're not able to realize that. We have reviewed about the approaches I said earlier on to how to do it, but our wish was to say already in 2023 should have been to get that report out. It's not been out yet. Hopefully we can have that report in the current financial year. We had also wished to start process one and understanding the impact of the work that we do within the committees, but due to lack of capacity, we're not able to really assess, like a very broad assessment of work, the impact that we do in our side. We're not able to report on potential unfunded mandate as required by the legislative and policy, as required by the Act itself. So what I'm saying, Chair, even if we have to realize some of these, the quantitative targets, some of the areas will not be able to cover large capacity that we struggling with. Next slide. I think the next slide just emphasizes that what we realize with the actual report, the targets were counted in numbers individually. But I think what we're supposed to show here is the outputs per category as opposed to individually. And I think this presentation does show that, and shows that some of the cyclical variances, performance outputs is rising to demand driven. So as I said, the 2.3 and 2.5 category often very much where the cyclical variations in performance demand driven. It's more demand driven. It's often very difficult to really set out the targets in a more accurate way there. The next diagram shows different quarters performances against the targets. And you realize, as I said earlier at the beginning, that term 1 and term 4 are most busiest time of the office, where we provide a lot of analysis around these areas. And in more instances, many of the requests pick up from there to find that, give us more indication on this, give us more advice on this, and find the team has to build on the work that we have done during that time to give more input as well. Next slide. Oh, I think this really covers largely the performance section, where we've plot out how our performance has been over the year. The next slide talks about the financial information. The section of this report that briefs the committee on the outcomes of the budget allocated. This is different from the budget request in line with the money side. It really shows how much from what we've allocated, what we're going to use, and what we need to achieve. I added a slide later, which really in the presentation discuss the issues around budget requirements that have been not fulfilled and how that has impacted the office in doing its work. So this slide shows that the office was allocated, I think we are 18.4 million in the year under review, and bulk of it goes to the cost of employees, because our work is largely knowledge-driven, so we work more with people involved in our work. Hence, we will have a more bigger cost coming from the COE. These are mainly, current payments. And as I said earlier on, the biggest challenge, what we've really struggled with, is really the challenge delays in procurement, delays in recruitment, delays in some of the other things that is really make it difficult for us to realize, to spend the money that we've budgeted for. For example, with budgets, unlike the parliamentary administration staff members, PBO staff members are on a 5-year contract base, which the state regular performance reviews annually. And that has not been able to conduct. We are not able to conduct this due to some of the difficulties that we experienced in this regard. And out of the amount that was allocated in that regard, I think due to I think there's one role that has not been filled, and there's also some procurement that could not take place. So we could underspend around 1.6 plus 2 billion on 2 million on that was underspent. This slide just shows the categories of spending. As I said, the bulk of our expenditures from composition employees, and some of the expenditure related to the office current payments related to travels, relates to information that we use, we pay for it, and also some of the data and so many other day-to-day operations. But bulk of it comes from the cost of employees. Next slide. I think this slide does show indicatively where the budget allocated was spent, just to put in more different horizontal format there, and specifically where bulk of the expense goes from. It's the travels. There's also the data subscriptions, and the cost of employees there. The next slide, Alfred. The next section focus on the human resource development section. As I mentioned, the office is really, go to the previous slides. I have some notes on the previous slide. The PBO is a knowledge-based entity. We provide members with information. We operate in a sector where chair members' skill sets limited, and we compete various stakeholders whom many instances pay a lot more than we do in the budget office. Also, being based in the Cape Town has proved to be requires to spend more time, effort to try to recruit people from other provinces to come here, because it's quite far from somebody coming here, leaving their families, and specifically sections. It requires us to spend more time, and we've been struggling. Many of the people who left the office in the recent years have all moved back to Gauteng, and which way also try to get people to recruit people from together. So that has been also another area, getting the staff here, getting more people into this regard. One of the issues we are doing in addressing this is that given the size of the entity and this difficulty, we will ensure our recruitment strategy allows flexibility in recruiting the content people in particular, and how that we're able to get more people or incentivize to come and decide with us for advice for that. One of the decisions that we made is that the parliamentary recruitment ecosystem.
My apologies, Dr. Janchis. We are losing more members, as I indicated, and we don't know how much minutes do you need from now, looking at the volume of your slides.
Okay, all right.
That you summarize.
Okay.
I think they've gone through your presentation, please.
All right, okay. What we could do then, Chair, we could go to the key challenges slides, Alfred, and then I think that covers quite a variety of issues, and that can take us forward as well. I think let me just put it quite like this. The lack of is it the first slide, Alfred? Okay, yes. The lack of the budget and other resources means that the office remains unable to deliver or give efforts on its mandate, and also unable to do more substantive sector analysis where it's more important for us, more so that over time we've seen that these are the areas that will also strengthen oversight. Also the issue of financial mandate is not able to report on that. And also the issues, getting a lot of questions around what would mean if Parliament would consider amending the budget. And that requires more capacity in that regard. There is a non-compliance, in my view, that failure to provide this budget is really non-compliance with the Act, because the Act is very clear that officers to be given budget in a 3-year time. The executive authority over years have requested that matter to be resolved in every speeches. They do raise that as well. Lack of sufficient budget and human capacity to fulfill mandate, and all that means that the oversight measures, governance measures that are responsibility of director have also been impacted to some extent by lack of human capacity in this regard. Next slide. Also, as I mentioned, the issue of the recruitment process, it's been very impacting us as well to deal with more talent that we want in the office, and also we feel that what we experience over time is that it takes takes close to 4-5 months, even longer. And for a small office like PBO, it's very, very impactful that we even thought about different strategies in terms of how we can easily, quickly to get people while still being in compliance with the laws. Lack of formalized, and other issue which concerns me, I think lack of really clearly formalized budget process, particularly the appropriation of Parliament's budget, is that the appropriation to Parliament's budget has really impacted us in a way, and in our recommendation would say that has to be prioritized, make clear documented Parliament process on budget process and really appropriating the budget itself. Lack of this means PBO planning process not having appropriations, Parliament, our planning process is compromised to a certain extent, and hence we're not able to, even if we requested budget, we need to see it over time. How does that get smoothed in, even over the next 5 years or whatever? That will really help us in this regard. Next slide, Alfred. I think we're almost done, Chair. We've really reduced the slide. This slide just to demonstrate the issues that we mentioned about lack of budget. We've sent out an business plan. This budget that required to fulfill the mandate, and we have not been able to realize that almost more than half of it. And I think what also put me under very more pressures, even if in times where we slow spending, as Parliament's vote to, we're still not able to get budget allocation in line with the Act itself. Next slide. It's a conclusion slide. I think really in the conclusion slide, Chair, members, the office was established, as I said, the issue was to really indicate how the office was established and how it was contextualized, and the Act provides for clear, specific mandate and the governance management framework. The office was established in line with the international best practice based on both the houses doing their own benchmarks and reporting on that. The office has itself to and has continued to provide insight in regards to budget impact on the society, economy, and what are some of the issues that could start. The Act is with the Act, office is required to receive the 3-year budget process allocation in order to give effect to this mandate, and that has not happened. And I confess how this really impacts our planning process. We can't plan for beyond 3 years, so it's important that, in our view, this really rectified in a way over time or smooth in the system. Next slide. In 2021, as I said, when I started the role, I set out to really set up the office in transition to be able to stand its own as required by the Act, but it was not possible then. But we had agreed in the sectional agreement to enable the office to function, but also important to enable me to be accountable in the role that we're in. And that has been very useful to build. So this service level agreement we set ourselves, Chair and members, was to allow us to build own corporate functioning capacity over time, but also really clearly set out the strategies in how to collaborate with Parliament administration, and also really, as I said, ensure that governance reporting requirements are fulfilled over time. No. It's Alfred, the previous slide. Too quickly. There's the last slide left. The interim approach, which I'm referring to now, has worked with significant challenges. efficiencies that are adversely impacted the office. Very important. I want to emphasize this, Chair. We've had the service level agreement set out to enable the office function. It has worked. However, it has significantly and negatively impacted the office, and a lot of inefficiencies that adversely impacted office function with time. Office service delivery is impacted, delays in procurement, denying the office to comply with the Act, and has weakened in my view, the fulfillment of my governance responsibility and management, and clearly create an environment for potential interference with the function of the office and in line with the secretary. So this process is important, but I think if it goes forward, our views need to ensure it's more effective. In order to ensure Parliament complies with the Act, the office is required to have the budget in line. I'm really concerned that failure to provide this budget and capacity, the office is that's potential to lead interference with the Act, the officers in line with the Act as is prescribed. Last slide, Chair, members. The officers.
How many conclusion slides do you have?
These are last slides. The office has been
summarize it. Please summarize it.
Its mandate, its performance targets. However, we're contend that we have not qualitatively dealt some of the requirements of the Act due to lack of capacity, and also one of the areas that really impacts us a lot as an office is really corporate functionality, because we have this content happening, but our corporate functionality has already saved us a lot of time. And our views in relation for the 7th Parliament requires the corporate support the office in budget allocation in line with the Act and ensure that the office can really fulfill its mandate. Thank you so much, and I do apologize for taking a lot of time. Thank you so much for the opportunity. We hope we can engage the committee again in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Janchis and the team. I'm informed that Honorable Frolick is here, the House Chair, and the Speaker is on sick leave. I just received notes. I see the hand of Honorable Frolick. Honorable Frolick.
No, good morning, Chairperson, and thank you for the opportunity. I did not receive a direct invitation to attend this meeting. However, since I am the co-chairperson of the board interacting and overseeing the activities of the Budget Office, I took the liberty, and you are also one of our board members, Chairperson, just to make a few remarks. Suffice to say that we will be having a board meeting in the coming week, and a lot of the issues that has been raised by Dr. Janke will be discussed there. The Act is very clear in terms how certain things to be done, but in practical terms, it's very difficult to achieve. For instance, one of the issues at hand is that when you face a financial a situation where the financial situation in the country is of such a nature that you cannot fund to the maximum what is being requested. Everybody have a wish list in terms of what they want, but in reality, it cannot always be agreed to, and we need to also then to look at what the mandate of the office is. But these are things that we usually ventilate in the PBO, and we report directly back to the two presiding officers in terms of the work that we will be doing. So the issues raised from the side of the board, we are aware of it, it is noted, but that will be discussed in the coming week in a properly constituted board meeting. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. I see the hand. Can I identify hands of the members to engage with the presentation if this is what we expected, we are used to, on how PBO, like I said, it's our first meeting that we meet with PBO. Members, I see Honorable Khadebe, Honorable Singh, Honorable Khai, there's somebody in Tlantla who wanted to raise her hand and then she dropped it. Honorable Kaiso, Honorable Frolick, Honorable Mahlo, Okay. Let me start with the Honorable.
Honorable Chairperson, my apologies. My apologies.
Oh,
Frolic here.
okay.
My apologies.
Yes, sir.
I'm due to chair another meeting now at 9 o'clock of the Ad hoc Committee on Floods and Disaster Relief. I will thus not be able to stay for the duration of the meeting because the Minister will be giving us a briefing on behalf of Cabinet on the interventions that has taken place. So I just want you to note that, please.
No, it's understandable. I did receive a note actually that you are in that meeting. Thank you. I think the meeting can excuse you, and we appreciate for your attendance and your contribution. Honorable Khadebe?
No, thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Good morning, everyone on the platform. I think that first of all, we'll have to welcome this report from the PPO office and from the PPO, and then I think that it is coming at the right time because as the Honorable Frolic has just said now, and I said even in the Wednesday meeting, that the country is faced with headwinds as we're moving forward. But as we are faced with headwinds as the country, it is very important that the resources that we have, we use them effectively, actually direct the resources to which are going to have a maximum impact on transforming the country or taking the country out of the rut. I think the issue of research capacity cannot be underemphasized because all the countries which are successful is simply because they have cutting-edge research. I think that the budget office is one such office which must come handy to help Parliament, so that as the SARS is being squeezed, getting less and less money from the taxpayers, it means that we must try to maximize what we're going to get from SARS. That is, amplify that money we're going to get from SARS. So the implication here, Chair, is that we as a country were also, apart from the headwinds now that we're faced with, but there are certain structural problems which we have. One is the issue of unemployment. Two, the issue of inequality. Three, the issue of inequality. So what is important out of that? Whatever we do, we must do it in such a way that we address those issues like poverty. So I'm worried that it looks like the PBO only helps those committees which are dealing with finance. But if you want to take the country out of the rut, the committees which are going to have an economic impact in the country must also be assisted. Just like the issue of the trading industry, mineral resources, agriculture, those are the areas which are job creators, which can grow the economy. So what I want to say, because they say that they only focus on these 4 committees, but the issue is that how many, as they said that their mandate is very clear, that they can also help the portfolio committees. How many times? Because if you look at when you look at the strategic plan of Parliament itself, it also has to deal with these issues I was raising: poverty, unemployment, and inequality. So, with the capacity which they have, will they be able to, let's say that if we identify as the Joint Standing Committee on Financial Management report, that please focus on that. And then you take another committee, just like the Committee of Health. The report which they gave us, they said that the health, yes, it is available, but the level of service is declining. A lot of people depend upon the public clinics. So how are they going to have such committees so that when the budget are being made, we are able to direct that money towards those committees so that they are able to do their job and then enhance the work of Parliament. And number 3, Chair, there's also this long-standing problem which we have, that of Parliament being treated as a department. Part of the problem is that we are the arm of state which is being treated like a department. So how, with their analysis, and when they compare, I like the comparison which they made, that when you go to America, actually the Congress is able to turn back the budget of the executive, and then they are able to recraft the budget themselves. The Congress got the ability. So if the PPO is going to remain so small, are we going to reach that level that we're able to change? We're able to change the budget of the state so that we're able to tell them that, hey, what is the priority here? Is one, these areas, that's what we must deal with. So, and then the last but not the least, Chair, on the issue of meeting with the advisory board, how many meetings did they have with the advisory board? Because I hear Honorable Frolik is saying that next week you're going to meet. But in the reporting year, 2022, 2020, how many meetings did you have? So that if you had, what were the outcomes of this meeting so that they can help you? Because I cannot understand that you can have so many years without having the full complement of the staff which is needed. I still maintain, even those which are not yet filled, those posts which are not yet filled, there are still very few. If we are going to make Parliament to be able to challenge the executive, we need more capacity in offices like the PPO. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Hadebe. Honorable Masho.
I think I was next.
Honorable Singh, you can come in.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I came in because I'm about to drive. Yes, no, I can't. Firstly, thank you for the presentation and the report. I can't agree more with Honorable Hadebe. In fact, I was very privileged to be part of the founding of the Public Budget Office, and we had some study groups, and when the legislation was crafted. And I'm pleased to see, from it being a stepchild of Parliament, the Secretary to Parliament, it's now having some meaningful representation and a meaningful budget, and the office is doing some work. But Honorable Hadebe is absolutely correct. When the PBO was set up, its intention, we intended that it will provide a service not only to those 4 committees, but other committees and to individual members. I don't know when that is ever going to happen, because in America and others, individual members get support from the Public Budget Office, but we are not getting that. And maybe I haven't been attending all the meetings, but it's the first time I'm hearing of this advisory board, and perhaps we need to be informed. What is the role of this advisory board, appointed by whom? And what's the mandate of this board? Because I believe the committee has a mandate to oversee the PBO. But having said that, I just want to ask the PBO whether or not they will be doing any study on the impact of the budget cuts on service delivery in the departments, because the budget cuts are going to have serious impact on service delivery. Is that kind of study going to be done broadly over all the departments? Secondly, Honorable Hadebe also speaks about the ability of Congress to change budgets. We also have that legislated where Parliament can do that, but we haven't done that. We go to committee meetings, you'll hear about the BRRRs and budgets, and we complain, all parties, members, complain incessantly about the low budgets allocated to some of the departments, but yet we're doing nothing because we are not empowered, with research and information to suggest to the executive. And the other thing is that the time frames are very limited for us to make representation. So is the Budget Office going to make some kind of recommendations to us so that there can be meaningful interaction between a committee and the member of the executive within the limited time frames, so that we can propose amendments to budgets and things like that, because we have that power. So those are the 2 things that I thought I should ask. The overall ability of the office to provide a service beyond just those committees, and secondly, the impact of the budget cuts and how that would affect service delivery in departments. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Singh. Honorable Khai, I see you next.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and greetings to you and the honorable members, the STP and the team. Chair, firstly, I would like to suggest that we mandate as this committee, the management committee of this committee, the co-chairpersons and the whip of the committee, that you meet with the PBO and the advisory board, maybe also the issue that is raised by Honorable Singh can be clarified in that particular meeting, as well as the EAs and the STP. But from the side of the committee, I suggest that you bring along the researcher and the content advisor. If we do have a content advisor, we used to have a content advisor. Don't know whether we still have the content advisor as the committee. So I want to suggest that kind of a meeting, so that these things that have to do with the implementation of the Monies, Bills and Related Matters Act can be addressed in that particular meeting, so that after that we have a meeting of the committee where we'll receive then a report that clarifies all these issues, because there are a lot of issues that still need to be clarified here as to whether the PBO is an independent organ, independent from Parliament, or is it an entity of Parliament that gets allocation from Parliament, or is it an independent entity that gets appropriation from the meetings of the plenaries of the two houses directly from the National Revenue Fund? So those things need to be clarified. If it's an entity, is there any shareholder compact between Parliament and the PBO? So those are some of the things that need to be clarified, so that we're clear as members of this committee about the relationship between the Parliament and the PBO going forward. But mainly to discuss what are the stumbling blocks in terms of implementing the Act as it directs us in terms of the role and functions of the PBO. So I want to suggest that, because we may not have time now to do that as this committee. So that's why I want to propose that we mandate the management committee of this committee to do that on our behalf, so that we discuss all these issues of capacity that have been raised, issues of governance for the PBO. Does the PBO has its own audit committee? Is it audited? Is it supposed to be audited by HE separately from the audit that is conducted for Parliament as an institution? Does it have risk committees, HR policies? Those kind of issues, we need to have an understanding around that. In the report itself, it talks about the service level agreement that was signed between the then acting Secretary to Parliament and the Director of PBO with regard to financial management of the PBO. We need to be clarified to how long will this agreement, the time frame for this particular agreement. Is it because some of the provision of the Money Bills Act, Money Bills and Related Matters Act have not yet been implemented? So that's why there's this arrangement in the meantime. I think Honorable Becky Khadebe has dealt with the role of PBO in terms of assisting other committees as well. But I would like to take it further, maybe in that particular meeting, to clarify, because as other committees that are not finance committee or appropriation, we may not necessarily know how the PBO could assist us. Maybe in that kind of meeting, then that could be clarified. Honorable Khadebe has indicated, or then the kind of committees that might be need to be assisted, trade, agriculture, mineral resources, I would also add energy, small business, tourism. So those kind of maybe chairpersons of those committees may not necessarily know what is the role and function of PBO in terms of assisting those kind of committees. Maybe in that meeting, then that issue can be clarified, so that then in our committees of these departments that have been mentioned by Honorable Begi, we can then sort or seek assistance from the PBO, having known now how the PBO could assist us. Maybe I should also let on the point that was raised by Honorable Singh in terms of the amendment of budget. Just want to check whether was there any time that the PBO has suggested for the amendment of budget. Secondly, Parliament decide on the budget. We would have a day where we decide on the schedule and pass the appropriation bill. What powers does the Treasury then have to tell departments to cut down on the budget that has been passed by Parliament? Shouldn't that process go back if Treasury sees that there are challenges with the finances? Shouldn't that process go back to Parliament? Parliament that has passed the budget and then appropriated to the departments. Now, during the financial year, Treasury comes in and decide to cut, to instruct departments to cut their budgets. Is that legal? Or yeah, so that's what I would like to find out. But maybe the last point would be on the, but also maybe that could be part of the issue that we will be discussing with the PBO, the EAs, SGP, in that kind of a meeting. What sort of also training, maybe before or after the budget has been tabled for committees, so that as they interact with the APPs and budget of Parliament, they would have been skilled with regard to those issues. Thank you very much, Chair, and sorry for taking long, Chair. Yeah.
Fine. Honorable Kaiso.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Chair, I think I want to make this proposal. I know it's the first time we're having a meeting with this office, and we appreciate the report that they have given to us, a quite elaborative report. But what I want to also suggest it in future, Chair, the type of slides that are being presented sometimes, because the purpose of giving us a report, it helps us also to read on what the report is saying. We have even taken a view in the appropriations committee that we definitely recommend department must come up with not more than 15 slides. So, but I can imagine we're almost at 70. So maybe in future, as we move on with the PBO, we know that we only need 15 pages, and the rest we shall try to read on our own. So, Chair, let me also echo on my and support inputs made by my colleagues there, Honorable Begin and Honorable Khai. But I just want to also get to this point that the reference has been made with regard to, interference by, as said by the PBO, even though there wasn't much budging on that aspect. But I just want to know, is there any gap, legislation gap that perhaps the PBO has identified in as far as dealing with the issue that is undue influence that has been mentioned in the report? So other areas, the issues of research, I think they've been covered there, where there will be some interactions with that particular package proposal that we have made. But also I want to check what then, because I think let me stop short there, Honorable Chair. I'll come back if there's sufficient time. But I also want to check and acknowledge, the good. Well, the PBO has made some strides in as far as making achievement, but then these achievements, 28 out of 36, is quite positive. But then, because there is a gap now in as far as expanding the work of PBO to cover, in a way, some departments because of their presentation of the reports, like Honorable Singh has said in the BBR reports, but then and the measurement of the achievement of national development plan, targets, department by department, not only focus on finances. It would help a lot. But this can only be enhanced if the PBO's office has sufficient, capacity to make, economic research, because there's a stop short, there's a short reporting when it comes to issues, how their projections, as they make analysis, economic analysis has been done, would be achieved so easily without really necessary capacity. I don't foresee that. So that needs to be looked at as the PBO tries to broaden its capacity. So it's definitely required moving forward to the 7th Democratic Parliament. So so now the lack of the evaluation of the impact of legislation is very important. That there must be a frequent evaluation of the impact of legislation itself, in line with all the decisions of the Parliament, especially with regard to, like I'm saying, the National Development Plan, all the strategies plan that have been put forward. So they need to be measured quite relevantly with regard to the work of the PBO, but in the absence of that capacity that we do not see, because I really find it very difficult. How would the PBO office then extend this work without having, increased its capacity? It's very clear that there's a lot of capacity that is needed from the side of the PBO. So let me stop there, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Mahlo.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to the members of Parliament and also the officials of Parliament. Chair, firstly, I would like to apologize for being cut off in and out. I'm driving to the airport for 11 o'clock flight. But most of the things that I wanted to raise, Chair, is to apologize for the inconvenience of being cut off by network, but I'm here. I'll make sure that I'm here. And lastly, I wanted to say that some of the points that I wanted to raise is members, the latter speakers that spoke, they covered me, Chairperson, in some of the most important things that I wanted to raise. Presently, I'm covered, but I'm here, Chair, and please pardon me if I can go being cut off, but I'll always make sure that I reconnect, because I know there is a need for a quorum in this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mahlo. Honorable members, one appreciates your engagements. Can you switch off your video, Honorable Mahlo? Let one appreciate your engagement, but there has always been a question out there as to if we say PBO, even amongst ourselves as the committee, as this committee, if we say PBO is independent, what are we referring to? PBO is independent from who? From what? What does that mean? Because that's a big statement. But also, in terms of the impact, a good presentation, Team PBO, but you have not indicated maybe the method of presentation or accounting is not as we are used to, because it's our first time doing oversight on your good selves. Usually you'll make presentation on your research and recommend and advise us. But maybe one is also was also looking forward to see the impact of the work that you're doing, because one has been working with this office for quite some time, and we know the good work that you're doing. But as and when you present, you need to indicate the impact and the outcome of the work, not just give us the statistic as to this is what you have targeted, this is what you have achieved, but as an achievement. But a good question by, I don't know if it's Honorable Khai or Honorable Khatebe, who is auditing you, because you are independent from Parliament. We know Parliament has an audit committee, is audited by the AG as well as an independent body as well. But those are the things I think that needs to be engaged on, for us to be clarified, to be able to know as and when we speak to you. Some members have gone out already. I have indicated, some are going, they are at the airport, some are committed somewhere. Myself and Honorable Muletsani are double booked. He was here. He's now going to attend to the other meeting of Joint Finance Committees. I'm still here. But then I want to give the Secretary to Parliament an opportunity to say something.
Thank you very much.
I'm not saying don't get me wrong, honorable members. I'm not saying he's taking over the responsibilities of the executive committee, but as the accounting officer, can I give him an opportunity? STP?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Once more, good morning to all honorable members. I think the points raised by Honorable Khai are worth pursuing to make sure that the office is clarified, and it also assisted to make sure that the governance interfaces between Parliament as a parent body are very clearly spelled out. And those areas, as indicated now, they do require some tightening. And perhaps at the time of conceptualization in the Money Bills Amendment Act, they were not worked out very clearly to support the office to make sure that it's properly capacitated, and secondly, is given clear lines of accountability. So those will be the areas that maybe through that suggestion of Honorable Khai, through the oversight board, as well as the executive authority, we can find ways of assisting the office, and that will be predated by my engagement perhaps with the director of the office to make sure that there is firm proposals that are legally sound, that responds to corporate governance. It will then give possible how to help the office to do its work, and secondly, how it should derive its mandate from the macro strategic framework of Parliament that will now be the framer of programs of Parliament in the 7th Parliament next year. So I would like to indicate that I would make time to have a conversation so that as management of Parliament, we're able to reinforce the support to the office and also clarify the governance accountability instruments for the offices. Thanks.
Thank you very much, STP. I think we are finding each other and finding a way forward in terms of clarifying ourselves so that we do things according to the book and our understanding, and we help each other. Over to you, PBO, please, in response to these issues, consider the suggestions by honorable members, and I think it's supported by most of the members in this committee, that we will have to take further engagements on behalf of this committee as the management committee. Over to you, Dr. Changes.
Thank you so much, Chair, Co-Chairpersons, and thank you so much to honourable members, to colleagues, for the inputs, for sectoral Parliament as well. Look, I think this is an important meeting for us. It's the first meeting, and I think for myself, it gave me an opportunity to understand the committee and also understand what are requirements, very clearly guidance from the committee, what information requests, and so on. I think the dilemma we had was that we had asked for these meetings long ago with the committee, so there's so much information we thought we should share with you at the onset. But we really appreciate this guidance, very, very helpful. And I think also we also, as I say, understanding how this committee work. I definitely agree, Chair. Some of the issues, long-standing, and that management meeting would be very useful in my view, and clarify. I think it's a lot of clarity in my view, because my understanding, there are very clear governance and reporting frameworks in the Act. It's just, like I say, there's been a lot of transitions, a lot of perspectives and views around it. And I feel that meeting would be very, very useful to really clarify. But I think also, coming back to the core function, we had already, long ago, had intentions of doing sectoral analysis. Even if you look at the slide I'm just going to share one slide quickly, which just shows that one of the major considerations is also to listen to I'm trying to share. Okay, I can't share a slide. I'm just going to quickly put this slide on. Yes, this slide. We had gotten a lot of feedback from the EA, a lot of feedback from the committees, a lot from the to really focus on the far end of the slide. We just show that a lot of sectoral analysis there. We had to really prioritize it to look at education, health, economic development, learning, and all those sectors. We have in our taking that into our concern, also a strategy. We do those analysis anyway at the high level, at the appropriations committee level, at the appropriations level. Because when you look at education allocation, you don't only look at education, you also look at where does this, what is the outcome? How far is the education outcomes been realized, and what are some of the issues within the sector itself? But I think what I'm trying to emphasize here, Chair members, we've not been able to do very substantive financing the sector and going directly with the communities. And it's our wish, we've been saying this for time, we wish anyway, we've outlined our strategy going forward. We will invest a lot of energy and effort to try to work on, and then we pick it up in our strategy, in our business structures. I'll stop sharing. But it's in the presentation. So it was expression of the EA even for joined to say the office should support the sector quite broadly, not focus a lot on finance, because in any case, I understand the budget, government budget, as it's not in itself, it requires the service delivery, and we do that in our also in our fiscal, in our policy, NDP policy work, where we do the analysis. I think what is lacking a lot, I would say, is direct engagement with these sectoral committees. And I think what has happened over time, our work model is really to bring to let our committees understand that work model. And our work model will certainly recognize that committees, other committees can invite us, and we have put ourselves there. Our committees can invite us, and we have seen many committees inviting inputs from us and giving presentation before. We have done that, and I think the issue here, Chair, is that it's always a capacity issue. Sometimes committee invite us at a certain time, we are not able to be there immediately, so we are not able to give immediate response because of the very limited capacity. And I still emphasize, it's our wish, it's our strategy to look at sector analysis, understanding that the government budget is not about, it's not a means itself, but it's an end-to-end means. And that's why we look at our strategy, we look at how the budget impact these socio-economic issues or developmental indicators, as we said. So I think many of the governance issues, I mean, I said in my slides, Chair, numbers that my view is that the bulk of not of the issues that face challenge, in my view, is lack of implementing the act itself. It's in my view, it's too early to say there's a problem with the act because it has not been implemented. And if there aren't any, if we say there are problems with the act, at least from Section 15, my view is that it has not been implemented. So it's very premature to say there's a challenge with the act itself. And that's the emphasis I made to say the act has not been implemented. So it's very premature. I agree there has to be clarification on some of the issues, but to say there's a problem with the act, I need to be shown that problem, except that it has not been implemented. The issues around the big issues around capacity, of course, that we want to work on, we'll get guidance. The issues on, sorry, now I feel like I've missed out kind of thing. Or the issue of sectoral agreement. The issue around the office having service level agreement. But before I get to the service level, maybe I should just try to contextualize how I understand this thing. When I feel like using the government department as an example. For example, let's say you take let's say National Treasury, because that department to work with. National Treasury has various entities under it. They've got Accounting Standard Board, they've got SARS, they've got so many entities that work under it. But now these entities have a clear specific mandate that it set out for. And in many instances, they've got a specific act that it says those entities are. It doesn't mean these entities are not part of the Ministry of Finance. No, it just means that in functions, they've got a specific responsibility that a country standard board, for example, it has its own accounting authority, its own responsibility, which it accounts to the executive authority. And it has clear indicative what it's supposed to do, advise on the accounting standards board, and so many other things. And that oversight mechanism is very clearly spelled out, where the Secretary of the Minister of Finance would have to oversight of that, or the actual account of the Minister of as executive authority. So I'm using this example just to provide a very simplistic understanding of how I understood this entity of Parliament. PBO is an entity of Parliament. It's not independent to the Parliament ecosystem. PBO is part of, it was established by Parliament, by Act of Parliament to support Parliament. And in a way, there's no way this can be seen as outside Parliament. The issue is that it has a very specific role that purposes does, which is linked to the Mandates Act, similar to other entities of Parliament, which are other entities of other departments, which account to the executive, but also accounts Parliament, even if they account to the executive. So that's a frame that I often give a very simplistic for stakeholders to understand how does the PBO function and what it means. And of course, the issue of not giving budget, it disables office for fulfilling its mandate. And that's what I say, that the discussion in other areas is whether does that really makes it difficult, or does that be seen, can that be seen as the office itself being denied for fulfillment or interfering with its achieving its mandate in a pretty broader conversation that we have. But lack of capacity itself, I said earlier in the presentation, I'm worried about the fact that there's so much capacity that is required. Because Chair and members, I see accountability as a two process. Accountability, in my view, it's not a one-way process. It's a two-way process whereby when the Act gives a mandate, Parliament gives me a mandate, I expect Parliament to also give me resources to deliver on mandate. But if not giving resources, accountability becomes more difficult in that way. So, so much expected for this office to do, but there isn't capacity to do that. You can only do so much within the capacity that we have. So in terms of crafting that in delivering so much expectations, it really, for me, is more difficult in the context that as much as the accountability itself, I think it's a two-way, and both sides, it's been very difficult to enable me as a director to really function in a way that is required for the Mandates Office. The issues around, I think many of the issues, or whether they respond to our analysis, what we have done, Chair and members, one of the reasons why we had a service delivery overview slides was really to deal with the issues of the work that we do. And one of the work that we do, Chair and members, is around looking at the budget itself. We looked at the budget cuts in the presentation we had on Tuesday. We had looked at the budget cuts and expressed concerns of the implication of the budget cuts and the socio-economic issues and economic growth itself, and we continue to raise that. And it's an issue that we can have a separate session where we discuss this with the committees, even per sector itself. We look at education, we look at health, we look at what are some of the implications for these cuts. For example, that it shows us the decline, we'll have more decline in real time on spending on education, with education outcomes being the way they are. It's an ideal circumstance where you want to cut spending, rather you want to increase spending, and in that regard. So that's really in a way that we do provide that insight information, and the view of the slide was trying to really capture that in that regard. There was one point around, I think I've captured, I'll ask my team to respond to one of my management, I think they're here on the platform, to respond some of the points, Chair, with your permission, and then I'll come back in later just to give some of the points that I think I might miss here. Dr. Olandi, Dr. Mohammed, do you want to comment on any other issue?
Nothing from my side.
All right.
Nothing from my side as well. Thank you.
All right. No, thanks so much, colleagues. So Chair, there were points that I wrote them down here, but I think in overall, I believe I agree with Honorable Chair and Honorable Khai and our members to say the committee must have that management meeting to discuss some of these more governance issues. The matters around what's the purpose of the SLA, I think I jumped out of that quickly, was really a recognition that this office has been established and it has not been given capacity, yet I was appointed to actually deliver on its mandate. Now, I had to come up with a mechanism to enable to function, yet being accountable. And the SLA was set up in a way that it enables me to function, to say, even if the office is set out as a just entity of Parliament, there's no point in setting up a big corporate infrastructure within this office because it was set out for the core functions. However, ideally it was that when we set up this CLSLA, it enables us to co-share the corporate functions with the Parliament administration, yet accountability on the activities of the office still be in line with the director of the office. That's the first thing, to enable to have procurement taking place, have activities, planes, people appointed, salaries paid, and so on, meaning only relying on infrastructure of Parliament. But one of the cases there was to say the office, which also was a point raised by the AG in all the years, we'll probably come to that, to say whether the office is required to build its own capacity on some of the obvious accountability mechanisms. And having that SLA in place was an agreement that it's a transition that allows the office to build capacity in some of those obvious oversight where the directors are required to respond or to account on those specifically. But I said in this presentation is that that has not taken place, because what has been is that civil agreement was seen as a way to keep office to function as a division of Parliament, which it didn't help much, because the way the activities have happened is that the team often get treated in a different way in the system, So as I said, it was ineffective. It's been a good system to set up in place, but it isn't effective in place because we've not been able to set up we did what the Act requires to do, to set up clearly how governance will do, and set up clearly policies. We've drafted policies in line with the Act, which, of course, these policies are not explicitly different from Parliament administration, but at the end of the day, whoever comes to direct will be required by the Act to have those measures in place. And those have been set up in place. But I think the bulk of it is that there has been considered for to ensure that there is resources to get this into effect. And that's why my view is that even if this happens, it is continuous SLA, there has been very, very clear oversight over it and how we wanted to ensure that the office has been saved. Because my view, as much as I understand the team was working hard from different departments in the Parliament administration, we have largely been compromised. I mean, one of the large aspects of underspending, it's largely being compromised by the system to say, no, you pay people who are not going to be prioritized, or the system itself, maybe it's not people say, but the system itself, not getting much, able to be effective. And that's why even I said in my presentation, even the recruitment process itself, it's not effective for a small entity like PBO because it takes long. We are 12. If two people have to be appointed in 6 months, we're not going to be doing much. It takes a lot of energy to get there, as opposed to when you have a more effective, legally sound system. So that has been put in place. So set up policies, set up this mechanism is an issue of giving effect to those matters. And that's why I'm saying I really wish and I appreciate that this proposed management meeting will, in my view, take us to the next stage in getting the office to get effected in how it is set up. And regular engagement with the chairpersons of different committees is important to us, and because we are able to understand what are the key areas, the thematic areas, key areas of concern. That's important for us to know. So it's important to be part of this conversation. And any chairperson of the committee can write to people who request any previous analysis, any person, any members, any person. That has been the case. And I want to emphasize it. It's in place, not like we're not participating or we're not involved in the process of supporting all the committees. It's just an issue of capacity, as I say, of ensuring that there's a proper capacity in this regard. And the last point, Chair, before I leave, I think one of the worries I have about this difficulties or this delays in giving effect is the impact it had on the staff of the PBU. I think I had a meeting with the Secretary of Parliament last year, and I said to him, one of my concerns is the failure to understand the moral impact of these difficulties in the team. It's so difficult for the team to really get motivated if we have so much standing issues that we've raised over time and they're not getting dealt with. So my wish is that this management meeting will really take us to the next stage where some of these 10 years standing issues are resolved once and for all. And at least I'm saying this and hoping that my team can hear that I've raised these issues and we are concerned about the moral of the team with regards to making sure that we can deliver on our mandate. So, Chair, I want to really stop there and really thank you so much once more, and members for the opportunity, and really looking forward for this management meeting, and we can provide any inputs and response in writing where we've missed some of the questions. And I really appreciate that members have to go, but I really again can't express myself enough how much I really appreciate this opportunity in this card. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Janchis. I think Dr. Saraj Mohammed and Nelia and all members of your team, you must be happy that it's a good start. It's our first meeting. I think going forward, we will assist each other to do better and prepare for handover. This is one of the milestones that will be reflected in our legacy report as we hand over to the next Parliament. Thank you so much. We are now going to release you and the Parliament team. Only members and the support staff can remain. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Doctor. Honorable Singh, they are gone.
I know. No, Honorable Chairperson, I just wanted to indicate that I'm going into the mini plenary now. I'm speaking there at 10 o'clock. So I'll have to excuse myself from this meeting.
Yeah, that's what I want us to deal with, the housekeeping matters. Honorable Muletsani has gone to finance meeting, the joint finance meeting. I excuse myself from that important meeting to come and share this one. Cindy, can you help us? From NCOP, it's only myself and Honorable Khai. Can you please help us if we can deal with the minutes and the report?
Yes, Chair. The rules require that at the time that the matter is considered, a matter that is to be adopted, that there be a quorum. So because we only have 2 members left on the NCOP side at the moment, we're not correct because we need 3 members on that side. On the NA component, we need 5, so we are still fine in the NA component. The committee can perhaps consider that we have a short dedicated meeting for the minutes and the reports that we have at the moment when it's convenient.
So you're saying in the NA we have the 5 that is required?
We have the 5 that is required, but on the NCOP side, for the committee to be correct, we need 8 members at least, and they must be 5 from the NA side and 3 on the NCOP side.
Oh, team is not here. Honorable members, that is the status. We are not correcting. We have to look into another time for us to adopt the minutes and the report because it's not fruitful for us to come to meetings, take decisions or resolutions or recommendations and not adopt so that we can present to the House. Honorable Khai, please come in.
Chair, I just wanted to check from the...
Before you come in, Honorable Singh, is your hand up or is it a legacy hand?
Sorry, it's a legacy. I'll put it down. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Honorable Khai, over to you.
Yeah, Chair, I just wanted to check the plenary session of the NA on Tuesday. What time is it taking place? Because when I check in on the program of the NCOP, there's no plenary session in the afternoon on Tuesday. So I was just thinking maybe if we could have it at lunchtime. If they have their plenary session at 3, then perhaps we might be done by that time.
Chair?
Yes, Honorable Khadebe.
Chair, what can actually work is to have it after the sitting, because the plenary is at 2. It's at 2 o'clock. If you can apply quickly, so that in the evening, let's say around 7, we sit. I think we can be correct then.
Yeah. Evening meetings are too many. Are too many, because I'm doubting if all of us will be available and find a slot. We might find a slot in the evening, but some of us we are busy with these processes that we're doing, and we need to have study groups.
Chair, what you can do then, let's defer them to the next meeting.
So let's try everything possible. What we are agreeing on is that we are unable to continue with these items, these outstanding items today, and then we'll find a time. If we agree, I will talk to the co-chairperson and the whip and consult with the secretary to or request the secretary to do applications, check the commitments of other members, see what we can do, because I think members have received minutes, have received reports. I don't think will take much time really for the evening. We can as well do it in the at lunchtime. It's fine. Let's talk outside this meeting. We are agreeing that we cannot continue because we don't form a quorum. Honorable members and colleagues, thank you very much for availing yourself. I know some of you were double packed. You were doing multitasking, and I want to appreciate your commitment. Thank you so much. And for those who are not well, including myself, good health may be upon you. Please recover speedily. We need you. We need you back at 100% healthy. Thank you so much, honorable members, and enjoy your weekend.
Same to you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.